If you're hosting cars on Turo right now, stop scrolling. Because what just happened to me should scare every serious host on the platform. Now, throughout my time, I have done well over 2,000 trips on Turo combined. I know how Turo works, I know how claims work, and I know how late returns work. So when a guest brought my car back 25 hours late, I thought this would be simple. The guest admitted it, the messages prove it, the timestamps prove it, the system proves it. And somehow, Turo still did not want to pay me. And the worst part about it all is not even just the money. It's what this situation really actually exposes. Because this actually exposed something that a lot of hosts truly don't understand. The rules that you read and the rules that Turo enforces are not actually always the same. And if you're building your entire business based off of that, then that's going to be a problem for you. So let me show you exactly what happened, where this went wrong, and what you should be rethinking right now. First off, this should have been a super easy process, just like it has always been for me. Again, I've done over 2,000 trips on Turo combined. This was not a gray area situation. This wasn't me missing messages. This was not a small delay. The car came back exactly 25 hours past its due time. And I had everything. The guest's own admission, the message thread between the guest and I in the Turo app, the return timing in the system, and I put in the late return on Turo that you're supposed to select, which at the time when I put in the report was the vehicle not returned selection. So I'm thinking, just like usual, this is annoying, but straightforward like it's always been. File the report, follow the process, and get paid. That should be the end of it, but it wasn't. On Turo, there are two ways to report this kind of issue. The first, as I had mentioned, is the vehicle not returned selection. Second is going to be the vehicle has been returned, but it's been returned late. So at the time that I filed that report was a couple of hours past due time, so I chose the option that the vehicle had not been returned yet at all, which is obviously the logical option, because why would I choose the other one? The car's not back. I didn't try to game the system, I didn't guess. I followed the exact process that you are supposed to follow in this situation. And this is where everything broke completely. According to Turo Terms of Service, which you should know, the Terms of Service is actually a contract between yourself and Turo, and these are the terms that they need to abide by, and these are the terms that you need to abide by. Within the Terms of Service, once you select vehicle not returned, it says on there that the customer support is supposed to reach out to you within 48 hours to confirm if the vehicle has been returned or not. And that follow-up should matter a lot. That is how cases move forward, except they never followed up with me. Not in 48 hours, not at all. So I waited a few days and then I was like, well, I still haven't got paid, right, for my extra day and late fee. And I guess I should let Turo know that the car's been back since no one reached out to me. So I decided to call them up. And this is where it actually gets crazy. The representative on the phone, and I actually spoke to two different representatives because the first one told me the same thing, and this has never happened to me. They said I needed to call Turo within 24 hours of the vehicle being back in my possession. And I was like, whoa. This is not what your terms of service say. I had the terms of service right here in front of me. So I literally read them, their terms of service, word for word to the representatives. And their response, which I have never heard before, again, I've done this process many times, was that that is a formality and we actually do things a little bit different on the back end. Now think about that a little bit deeper. The rules are telling you one thing, but the actual system and execution works a different way. And that is the real problem here. Because if you can be denied based on rules that are not clearly reflected on what you are reading on their own terms of service, then you are not operating within a stable system. You are operating within a system that you have no control of. Now, why is this whole concept bigger than just one situation? Because this is not just about one late return. This is about how you are actually building your own business. I've been on Turo long enough, back to where I can remember having a Turo commercial host program. Now, I was actually part of the commercial host program. Back then, if you were on the commercial host program, you had to be an established rental car company, and all Turo did for you was lead generation. They would literally hand you off the lead. They would take care of the actual payment processing, but everything else was within your control. They took a 7.5% cut. They provided no protection to you, and you could really do whatever you want. You could make sure that they had the proper insurance. You could make sure they signed a rental agreement, take security deposits, all of that. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect, but you had a lot of the control. You knew where the responsibility actually started, and you knew where the responsibility ended. But then Turo evolved just like it has been doing forever now, it seems like. They removed that program, they took more control, and they moved everything over to their system and the way that they want things ran. Which actually maybe sounds easier, that's until something goes wrong. Because now when that system fails, you are the one that's taking the hit and not them. And this is the shift that hosts need to understand. When Turo was a lot smaller, issues were a lot easier to fix and resolve. There was real reps based in the United States. There was a lot more accountability from the Turo platform, and things happened fast. You could get on the phone about most issues and have those issues resolved within 10 minutes on the spot. No executive support, no additional review necessary. Things would just be fixed when they were supposed to be fixed. But now everything feels slower. There's so many more layers when you're dealing with Turo, and everything seems to be outsourced. Everything from claims to Powerhouse support, none of it seems to really be in-house anymore. So the most frustrating part about all of this, even when you're right, even when you have the proof, even when you followed the process, you can still lose. And if your entire business depends on that platform, that risk gets dramatically amplified, because now you're not just dealing with bad guests and damaged cars. You are dealing with platform risk. Rules are changing, processes are shifting, decisions that you just cannot control. So here is the real lesson. If you're building a serious business in the space, you need to understand this. You do not and will not ever have full control of the rules when it comes to platforms like Turo. And you may be judged by internal processes that are not clearly defined. That means being technically correct may not protect you. That means proof alone may not protect you. That means experience may not protect you. I've had over 2,000 trips on Turo. So if this can happen to me, this can happen to literally anybody. So the real lesson is not just about late returns. It is this. At some point, you have to start thinking beyond just the platform, because real control comes from owning your own systems, your customers, your policies, and your own processes. Platforms can be a great starting point for beginners, but if you stay fully dependent on them, you will always be exposed to decisions just like this one. And once you see that clearly, you're going to start operating differently. Now, what I will say is I spent over an hour on the phone with 2 different customer service representatives telling me the same thing. They were telling me, and this really grinded my gears, is, well, we can see you've been a power host for a very long time and you should know this process. And again, I read them their own terms of service. I told them this is not the process and you're technically breaking the contract between myself and Turo. They told me there was nothing else that I could do. So what I did was I said, I want this request forwarded to a supervisor. Now, unlike back in the days, they don't just forward you to a supervisor. There has to be a ticket put into the supervisor and they will review the ticket. Now, Turo never got back to me on that ticket, but they did actually pay me for the extra day and the late fee because I saw it reflected in my earnings. That means someone on the internal team reviewed that, maybe they reviewed the conversation, and they ended up paying me because they knew that I was right. But the lesson here is that everything is just changing so dramatically within Turo, and people will tell you something completely different than what's in their own rules. And as bad as this situation is, this is not the worst thing that I've dealt with Turo, because one of my cars got completely wrecked, and that situation alone exposed an even bigger risk. So click the video on screen where I break down when my GLE 350 was totaled on the Turo platform and how I still managed to get $32,500 out of that claim. Because once you see that, you will understand how this business really works. So thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next video.